ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වරට SLT 4G වෙතින් දැන් Pure TV නරඹන්න. ඉදිරියටම ගෙන යන SLT 4G.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, closed doors. Government suspends airport arrivals. Chairman of the Civil Aviation Authority joins us live in studio. Action plan. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa addresses the nation on the COVID-19 pandemic. Setting an example. Army commander requests 800 quarantine escapees to fulfill national responsibility and prevent further catastrophe. Helping hand. The IMF offers coronavirus hit countries access to $1 trillion emergency fund. All this and much more coming up on this Tuesday, the 17th of March 2020.
SMS කර රුපියල් මිලියන 3ක මුල්තැන්ගේ උපකරණ දිනාගෙන අවුරුද්දෙම කුස්සිය ටයිම් සේව් කරගන්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening. This is your English news service on AdaDerana 24. We begin with your developing story. The number of COVID-19 infections within the country has now risen to 43 with the detection of 15 new cases today. The hike in the number of infections in the country reaffirms the importance of basic hygiene practices and the significance of strict adherence to safety and quarantine measures. The importance of this has been highlighted due to the phenomena of passengers arriving in the country, escaping the quarantine process and later testing positive, which has further endangered the safety of the general public. With this in mind, the government has decided to temporarily suspend the arrival of passengers from all countries starting from 4 a.m. on Thursday, the 19th of March. Meanwhile, the government announced a special public holiday until Thursday.
As of last night, the official number of coronavirus infected patients had risen to 28, with the addition of 6 more infected patients last evening. However, after the detection of 15 additional cases as of this evening, the total now stands at 43. 4 among the 6 new cases of infections detected yesterday were persons held in quarantine centres after arriving in the country from overseas. One among the remaining duo is a local who was under treatment at the Polonnaruwa hospital, and the other was identified as a Sri Lankan who arrived from Kerala, India. The latest diagnosed cases also include a pilot working for Sri Lankan Airlines who had earlier attended the annual Royal Thomaian cricket match. National carrier Sri Lankan Airlines meanwhile announced that all crew members who came into contact with the coronavirus-infected pilot during the last 14 days have been placed under self-quarantine with immediate effect. The statement revealed that the pilot had operated his last layover flight to Singapore on the 28th of February, and thereafter all the flights he operated had been turnaround flights. According to Chief Epidemiologist of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, 204 people have now been admitted to a number of hospitals across the country on suspicion. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence had also instructed all passengers who arrived in Sri Lanka between the 1st and 15th of this month from Europe, Iran and South Korea to register themselves at the nearest police station or via the 119 hotline. The ministry added that under quarantine laws, legal action will be taken against those who violate the order. Accordingly, many passengers who arrived in Sri Lanka during the given time period were seen getting themselves registered at many police stations. But the Association of Public Health Inspectors points out that the influx of visitors at police stations can become more problematic given the nature of the virus. Meanwhile, Bhagavanthalawa public health inspectors have taken measures to self-quarantine 14 persons who haven't come under quarantine process after arriving in Sri Lanka. These passengers had arrived from Ukraine, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia and Qatar after the 8th of this month. Among them are employees who work overseas as well as visiting tourists. As a measure to curb a possible outbreak, a 3-day special public holiday has been announced by the government from today until Thursday. This special 3-day holiday will be applicable to all departments, corporations and institutions except health services, food, transport, essential services, banks, district secretariats and divisional secretariats. The 3-day holiday will also be applicable to the private sector. The government is yet to announce an extension of the given holiday but will further analyse the situation. Minister Bandula Gunawardena meanwhile urged the public to not panic as there is no shortage of essential goods in the country. Meanwhile, the Colombo Municipal Council has decided to close all public venues in Colombo for a period of 2 weeks. In the meantime, the Commissioner General of Prisons TMJ Imthenakon announced that prisoner visitation at prisons island-wide will be suspended for 2 weeks beginning from today. Further, the Railway Station Masters Union has decided to refrain from accepting cash for tickets as well as parcels until further notice. Passengers therefore were able to use railway services without purchasing tickets. Meanwhile, the disinfection of trains leaving the Fort Railway Station commenced today. Public places including buses were also subjected to disinfection today, while water facilities too were supplied for washing of hands. In the current context, the government has taken a slew of measures to prevent an outbreak in the country. Accordingly, steps have been taken to temporarily suspend the arrival of passengers from all countries from midnight on the 18th of March to 31st of March. However, cargo transfers, departures and intermediate air passenger transfers will be conducted as usual. The Ministry of Foreign Relations in the meantime has decided to bring down all Sri Lankan pilgrims who are currently in India. There are about 1,200 Sri Lankan pilgrims who left for India before the government's decision to suspend all pilgrimages to India was announced.
184,134 cases globally, 7,182 deaths, including 79,927 recoveries. Now, Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, stressed the importance of constant testing of suspected coronavirus cases, saying that although the pandemic cannot be halted, knowing how many infected cases countries have will be key to managing the outbreak effectively.
With the COVID-19 pandemic continuing to spread across the world, the global data currently stands at 184,134 cases, 7,182 deaths, including 79,927 recoveries. This brings the world's current active cases to 97,025. 135 new deaths were reported from Iran, raising the total death toll to 988. The country also experienced a spike of 1,178 new cases, pushing its total to 16,169. The head of Spain's Health Emergency Center said that the country's tally has surpassed 10,000, with the number of fatalities rising to 491. Spain currently sits in third position as the country with the highest number of cases, following another 1,236 infected cases detected and 149 deaths. South Korea's total cases rose by 84 today, pushing it to 8,320 with a death toll of 81. Meanwhile, Pakistan reported 5 more cases being detected in the southern Pakistani city of Karachi, raising the country's total to 189. A spokesperson for the provincial health minister Miran Yusuf said that all 5 people had recently travelled back to Pakistan from Saudi Arabia. The Pakistan's cricket board has also postponed the semi-finals and final of the Pakistan Super League T20 cricket tournament, scheduled to be played on Tuesday and Wednesday. Meanwhile, the European Union has called on its member states to restrict all incoming travel into the continent for 30 days. With countries like Italy, France, UK, Switzerland and Germany counting 46,146 infected cases, unrestricted freedom of movement enjoyed by EU member countries has now been paused as part of its measures to contain and prevent further spread of the virus. While the world's second largest economy, China, continues to see a drop in domestic infections, the country, however, continues to face a further issue of imported cases reported in the country. Chinese health authorities said today that it received reports of 21 new confirmed cases and 13 new deaths yesterday from 31 provincial-level regions and the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps. According to China's National Health Commission, of the new confirmed cases, only one was reported in central China's Hubei province, the epicenter of the outbreak, while the other 20 were imported cases. The country's current infections stand at 80,881, while the death toll is 3,226. In the meantime, the World Health Organization urged countries to test anyone displaying any symptoms, as it would serve as the best way to prevent further spread.
And we cannot stop this pandemic if we don't know who is infected. We have a simple message for all countries: test, test, test. We advise countries to stick to testing, and from there, of course, all the steps that they need to do. And we advise countries to stick to containment strategy, because we believe that this epidemics, this pandemics, or this virus is controllable.
And to discuss more on Sri Lanka's situation and the decision taken in terms of the airport and aviation industry, we've invited to our studio Chairman of the Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Upul Dharmadasa. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's a very busy situation for you.
Yes. Good evening, Indivari.
Good evening.
Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. As the regulatory body for the aviation industry in Sri Lanka, responsible for all decisions taken in terms of aviation security, airworthiness, I think this is a very crucial time also for the Civil Aviation Authority. The decision today, Mr. Dharmadasa, in order to stop all flights from Sri Lanka to Sri Lanka. Now this decision was taken, but there seems to be a confusion on when it is effective, whether it's tomorrow or, as we said, at 4 a.m. on Thursday, the 19th of March.
Yes, there has been quite a few confusion about the time of specific arrivals. So we have banned all arrivals to Sri Lanka and all the 3 airports in Sri Lanka. Beginning 4 a.m. on Thursday, will continue up to 11:59 on the 25th.
Right.
So during this period, there won't be any arrivals into Sri Lanka. But what I mean is from anywhere taking off, anywhere in the world to Colombo, Sri Lanka. But there will be transit passengers.
So this means transit passengers are allowed, and that operation happens.
Yes. For example, a passenger originating from Mumbai, traveling to Singapore on Sri Lankan Airlines, will be allowed to route through Colombo Airport. And any cargo aircrafts are allowed to land. In emergency landings, crew change, that type of flights are allowed to land, but we have restricted the passengers coming in.
Right, but there are also certain emergency situations that you will need to consider. Is that allowed?
Yeah, we mean emergency landing into
Yes.
that? Yes, and emergency landings will be allowed, which is according to the IATA rule. We have to allow the international emergency landings.
And we also would like to talk about the quarantine process. Now, are we looking at quarantine, sending all passengers, incoming passengers, to quarantine? What is the process in place?
At the moment, yes, that means only till tomorrow. All arrivals tomorrow, international arrivals, they will be quarantined. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's a very responsible situation.
But when I say quarantine, please let me correct myself. If they are coming from Australia, they won't be quarantined.
Right.
We originally restricted 17 countries. If those have been already restricted, they are not coming after tonight midnight. And just now we were able to help 43 Sri Lankans stranded in Doha. We just gave the authority for them to land tomorrow morning.
So we're also looking at the government bringing back pilgrims in India, and you just spoke about Sri Lankan stranded in Doha. How will this be facilitated? Will that the pilgrimage situation be looked at separately?
It is looked at separately by Sri Lankan Airlines. These 43 passengers, they were Sri Lankans living in Doha, Qatar. They had bought the ticket, they had gone to the airport, but we had restricted their arrival from 12 midnight. But I was able to get the authority and have them fly that flight. They will be landing tomorrow morning.
Right. And also, Mr. Dharmadasa, if we once again remind all our viewers about how the airport facility, how the process at this situation with with the entire globe looking at a rising pandemic situation. Of course, it's positive that the number of recoveries, we see a number of recoveries, but there are a lot of measures taken within this country too to stop the spread of this virus. But let's specifically talk about how our passengers should comply with authorities and what needs to be done, because we're hearing a lot of stories around on social media. There's a lot of fake news going on, and while we request our viewers to only listen to all these verified sources and take information from verified sources, can we talk about your measures there?
Yeah, I think it's a developing story. I mean, every moment things have been happening. Now we had about 20 yesterday, it has increased today. So I think with considering all these situations, like we have to be honest also, there have been few cases, some of the passengers who came from the restricted 17 countries coming through Doha and then have identified as they were coming from one of the cities like Doha or Dubai, although they boarded the flight from Europe. So those issues take such a long time to identify, verifying passenger manifest. And considering all these factors, the airport has done a marvelous job. The staff, they're really going through a lot today and tomorrow. Hopefully, after the closure, when we reopen after the 25th, this matter should be resolved.
And we also see the security forces working hand in hand with the airport authorities in this time of emergency.
Definitely, yes, yes. And there are quite a few different departments working together at the airport.
And what immediate steps do you also look at taking apart from now we have until Thursday 4 a.m. on the 19th of March until flights will be suspended. Until then, what measures are you looking at, Mr. Dharmadasa?
Well, the flights are, I think the London flight is coming in. There are 2 London flights we're expecting, and that's going to be landing after the 4 a.m. that we need special authority for that. And more than anything else, the flights have decreased really. Number of passengers who are coming in have been decreased. So we don't have the similar airport what we had last week. It's not as busy as it used to be. Now then I'm talking about tomorrow really.
Right, right. So thank you very much. I know this is a very busy time for you, but thank you for making your time to be present here at our studios to clarify to our viewers about the ongoing situation and how Sri Lanka is managing, especially the aviation industry. Thank you very much. We had with us Mr. Upul Dharmadasa, the chairman of the Civil Aviation Authority, joining us. We'll see you again on the other side of the break with more news. Welcome back. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, addressing the nation a short while ago, announced an immediate self-quarantine of all individuals who arrive in the country prior to quarantine protocols being implemented, and will include their immediate families as well. He added that this will be enforced by the police and military along with public health officials.
අපි නිරෝධනය ආරම්භ කිරීමට ප්‍රථමයෙන් ලංකාවට පැමිණි සෑම දෙනෙක්ම මෙන්ම ඔවුන්ගේ ළඟම ඥාතීන්ද හඳුනාගෙන ඔවුන්ගේ නිවාසවලම ස්වයං නිරෝධනයකට ලක් කිරීමට අපි තීරණය කොට තිබෙනවා. මේ සඳහා පොලිසිය, ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව, මහජන සෞඛ්‍ය පරීක්ෂකවරුන් හා ග්‍රාම නිලධාරීන් යොදවන අතර ඔවුන්ට සම්පූර්ණ සහාය දෙන ලෙස මා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. වෙනත් රටවලින් පැමිණි ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන්ගේ වගකීමෙන් යුතුව කටයුතු කරන ලෙස මා ඔවුන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. අපි රජයෙන් විශේෂ නිවාඩු දිනයන් ලබා දුන්නේ වෛරසය පැතිරීම අවම කිරීමටයි. එනිසා එය නිසි අයුරින් භාවිතා කිරීමට නම් ගමන් බිමන් සමූහ වශයෙන් එක්වීම උත්සව හා සාද වලින් සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වැළකී සිටිනා ලෙස මා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. මේ තත්ත්වය පාලනයට මෙතෙක් අපගෙන ඇති ක්‍රියාමාර්ග හා ඔබ විසින් ඔබට ලබා දී ඇති උපදෙස් පිළිපැදීමත් මත මේ ප්‍රශ්නය සම්පූර්ණයෙන් පාලනය කරගන්නට අපට හැකි වෙනවා. රජයක් වශයෙන් රටේ ජන ජීවිතය පවත්වාගෙන යෑම අපේ මූලික වගකීමයි.
Newly appointed head of the National COVID-19 Operations Centre, Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva calls for the 800 individuals who escaped quarantine process to fulfill their responsibility toward the country by putting themselves under strict quarantine without adding or aiding to the spread of the deadly virus. Meanwhile, also addressing the media briefing, Director of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe announced that a new treatment centre has been set up in Valikanda.
අදවන විට නිරෝධාන මධ්‍යස්ථාන 16ක් දක්වා වැඩි වෙලා තිබෙනවා. මේ නිරෝධාන මධ්‍යස්ථාන 16 මේ වන විට 2258 දෙනෙකු නිරෝධාන ලක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපි දන්න දත්තයන් වලට අනුව 1500ක් 2000ක් අතර සංඛ්‍යාවක් පළවෙනිදා සිට නවවෙනිදා දක්වා ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා නිරෝධානට ලක් නොවෙච්ච කට්ටිය මේ කියපු රටවල් වලින් ඇවිල්ලා විශාල වශයෙන් තාම ජීවත් වෙනු ලබනවා. වැඩිපුර සංඛ්‍යාවක් ඉන්නේ 800ක සම සංඛ්‍යාවක් සිටින්නේ පුත්තලම් දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ. ඉතින් අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ අවස්ථාවේදී කරුණක ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ පළවෙනිදාත් නම දෙනත් ආපු තුම් දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ කට්ටියට ඉල්ලනවා පොඩ්ඩක් මේ සම්බන්ධව මේ උපදෙස් දුන්න පරිදි විශේෂයෙන්ම සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් දීලා තියෙන උපදෙස් අනුව ක්‍රියා කරන්න. එසේයි ක්‍රියා නොකරොත් මේක තවදුරටත් ව්‍යාප්ත වෙන්න ගියොත් සමහරලාට ඒ ප්‍රදේශයේ වෙනුවෙන් ගත යුතු ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් වුණත් ගන්න තත්වයකට ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ශ්‍රී ලංකා රාජ්‍ය විසින් තීරණයක් අරගෙන තියෙනවා හෙට දිනේ කියන 18 වෙනිදා මධ්‍යම රාත්‍රියේ 12 සිට ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට පැමිණෙන arrivals මගින් පැමිණෙන කාර්ය පමණක් නවත්වනවා. කාටවත් ඉන්න අනතුරුව හෙට මධ්‍යම රාත්‍රියෙන් පස්සේ ලංකාවට මගින්ට ලංකාව තුලට ඇතුළු වෙන්න බෑ.
We are working on Valikanda COVID-19 treatment center, which is a base hospital, and we have vacated the hospital to adjacent building, and patients who need further treatment, not COVID, the other patients would be facilitated to be taken to Polonnaru, and transport services would be provided. It's a very good building for COVID-19 treatment purposes, and the Sri Lanka Army, on technical advice, they are improving the infrastructure so that the infection doesn't go across from patients to the staff. For this purpose, we are going to support the director of the Polonnaru General Hospital in very many manners that is required. For example, logistics, vehicles and manpower. Puttalam district, as you know, there are a lot of people who have arrived from Italy. So therefore, special arrangements are being taken with regard to them in Puttalam district. Especially His Excellency the President mentioned that they be quarantined on a strict manner. We have to basically look after those who harbor this infection in Sri Lanka, that they don't transmit this infection to others.
Now, in the political front, former UPFA MP Lakshmanyappa Abewardena says that reconvening of Parliament, as per the opposition's calls, is not a solution to the current coronavirus outbreak in Sri Lanka. He added that at this moment in time, the opposition should focus on joining in constructive efforts to help combat the outbreak instead of resorting to cheap political stunts such as the dissemination of false information by its supporters aimed at causing public panic.
විපක්ෂය කල්පනා කරනවා මේ වෙලාවේ මැතිවරණය ගැන. ඒගොල්ලෝ බලන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන අර්බුද බේරගන්න පුළුවන් ද මැතිවරණය කල් දාන්න කියන. අපි මේ අර්බුදය කොරෝනා රෝගය උත්සන්න වුණොත් ඒ ගැන කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව අපි තීන්දුවක් ගන්නවා. අද විපක්ෂයට වෙලා තියෙන මේකට ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්න විදියක් නැතුව. මොකද තමන්ගේ දේශපාලන පක්ෂ අතර ලොකු කෝලහලයක් තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ මොහොත වෙනකොට අපිට පෙනෙන විදියට එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ කණ්ඩායම් දෙකක් ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා.
මේ වන විට අපි මේ පාලනය කිරීමට හැකි උත්සාහයක්ම දරලා තියෙනවා. මොකද යම් විදියකින් මේ රජය නොතිබුණා නම් සාමාන්‍ය වෙනත් රජයක් තිබුණා නම් මේ විදියට ඍජු නායකත්වයක් තිබුණේ නැත්තම් මහ විශාල ප්‍රශ්නයක් මේ රටේ ඇති වෙනවා. දැන් මේ කට්ටියක් කියන්නේ එක සැරේටම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් කරන්න කියලා. දැන් ඔබ මාධ්‍යයෙන් ඔබට තේරෙනවා මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් කළා මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ කොරෝනා වෛරසෙ. මොකද දොස්තරලයි මේ. මොන තීන්දුව අපි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් කළා ගන්නද? මේක ආදිසි නීතිය දාන්නද පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් කරන්නේ. වෙලාව විවාද කරන වෙලාවත් මේ වෙලාවේ කවුරුත් එක්ක අහුවලා මේකට මැදිහත් වෙනවා. ඊ අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්ත මේ පුජ්‍යලයා විශේෂයෙන්ම කවුරු එක්කද මේ ඉන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට මේ ඉන්නේ අජිත් පෙරේරා මහතා සහ මේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහතාගේ පින්තූරයක් දාලා මෙයා තමයි කිව්වේ දෙන්නෙක් මරණයටපත් වුණා කියලා තාමත්ම අසත්‍ය ප්‍රචාරයක් ගෙල්ලා මේ සමාජය බය කරා. එතකොට මේ වගේ දේශපාලන කටයුතු වල යෙදෙන්න එපා කියන එක තමයි අපේ ඉල්ලීම. අපිට මැතිවරණ නෙවෙයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඕනම මැතිවරණයක් කල් දාන්න පුළුවන්.
Leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegya, Sajit Premadasa, says that while the world prepares measures to fight the corona pandemic, the leaders of our country are more worried about a two-thirds majority. Meanwhile, United National Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe advised the country to come together to fight the outbreak and minimize the damage as far as possible.
මේ අවස්ථාවේ අප ඉදිරියේ තිබෙන විශාලම අභියෝගය කොරෝනා වෛරසයට මුහුණ දීමයි. මේ බරපතලකම බොහෝ අයට තවමත් තේරුම් ගොස් නැති බව අපට පෙනෙනවා. අවම හානියක් සිදුවන ආකාරයට මේ වසංගතය පාලනය කර ගැනීමට අප එකට එක් වී කටයුතු කළ යුතුයි. මේ සඳහා පොදු සැලැස්මක් සකස් කොට සාමූහිකව ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලීමට අවශ්‍ය පදනම ඇති කරන්නයි කියා මම පසුගියදා ආණ්ඩුවෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා. මේ ගැන දැඩි අවධානය යොමු කරන මෙන් මම නැවතත් රජයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින්නට කැමැතියි.
ඉතාලිය, චීනය, ඩෙන්මාර්කය, නෝර්වේ වගේ රටවල් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ලොක්ඩවුන් කරලා. මෙහි මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? 3න් 2 හොයනවා. ඒ වගේම ඉරානිය ගත්තොත් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම පොදු ප්‍රවාහනය විෂ බීජ හරණය කරනවා. අපේ රටේ මොකද තත්ත්වය? මුව ආවරණ හොයා ගන්නටවත් හැකියාවක් නැහැ. ලෝකයේම මේ හදිසි තත්ත්වය හඳුනාගෙන මිනිස් ජීවිත ගැන හිතලා ඒ ඔක්කොම අවලංගු කරනකොට අපේ රටේ තියෙනවා මැතිවරණ මේනියාවයි 3න් 2 මේනියා. නීරෝ රෝමේ ගිනි ගනිද්දී වීණා වාදනය කළා හා සමානයි.
Let's find out what's happening in local and global business as we return after this break. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called on banks and financial institutions to immediately halt collection of all business loans for a 6-month period as a relief measure in the face of the coronavirus pandemic. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared this addressing the nation on the matter of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka a short while ago. With the impact of COVID-19 pandemic playing havoc on global economies, the International Monetary Fund has stepped in, offering access to its 1 trillion lending capacity as part of its rapid dispersing emergency response toolkit to help vulnerable countries which require urgent balance of payment needs.
The International Monetary Fund said yesterday it stands ready to use its 1 trillion lending capacity to help countries around the world that are struggling with the humanitarian and economic impact of the novel coronavirus. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said in a statement that as a first line of defense, the fund can deploy its flexible and rapid dispersing emergency response toolkit to help countries with urgent balance of payment needs. She added that the fund already has 40 ongoing arrangements, both disbursing and precautionary, with combined commitments of around $200 billion, and in many cases these arrangements can provide another vehicle for the rapid disbursement of crisis financing. Georgieva wrote on the IMF's website that the lending could be used to aid its members, especially emerging and developing countries. She said the fund's Catastrophe Containment and Relief Trust can help the poorest countries with immediate debt relief, which will free up vital resources for health, spending, containment and mitigation.
Now, the Asian Development Bank has allocated a $600,000 grant from its health system enhancement project to the government of Sri Lanka to finance preventive and response efforts to fight the coronavirus outbreak in the country. The grant will fund disease surveillance as well as the provision of medical supplies and equipment for the infectious diseases hospital in Mullairiyawa and 17 hospitals identified by the Ministry of Health throughout the island for quarantine purposes. In addition, personal protective equipment and other laboratory equipment will be supplied to the Medical Research Institute. The grant will also support the renovation and refurbishment of the Port Health Office and isolation rooms at at both the Colombo and Trincomalee ports of entry, as well as the renovation of the current isolation facilities of the epidemiology unit of the Infectious Diseases Hospital. In addition, laboratory facilities and equipment to test high-risk samples will be funded under the medium-term plan of the government. Taking you to global markets, Asian shares fell today in a topsy-turvy session following one of Wall Street's biggest one-day routs in history as headlines about the coronavirus outbreak and its global economic impact whiplashed investor sentiment. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 opened down 1.62% at 16,726.95, while the broader topics shed 1.57% at 1,216.92. In South Korea, stocks opened low with the Korean Composite Stock Price Index down 51.84 points to 3.02% to 1,663.02 points. Hong Kong's benchmark Hang Seng Index dropped lightly or slightly into the red in the opening hours of trading, dropping by 243.02 by 2,156, or a fall of 1.05%. The Shanghai Composite Index, however, opened with gains at 2,796.28 or 0.74% higher. The Shenzhen Component Index also made gains, opening at 10,271.60 or 0.18%. Financial markets created, yesterday with the S&P 500 tumbling 12%, its biggest drop since Black Monday 3 decades ago, as a series of emergency central bank rate cuts globally only added to the recent sense of investor panic. And that's all the news tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.